If I had to sum up this entire video in a single word, it would be disappointing. Elon Reeve Musk is the patron saint of many things. Disastrous companies, deadbeat fathers, increasingly unhinged opinions about literally everything at this point. And really, when you think about it, all of Elon's general Elonness falls under the umbrella term of disappointment. And yet, I find myself disappointed and surprised at his latest failure, the Tesla We Robot event, in which he unveiled everything from vehicles that somehow managed to look dumber than a Cybertruck to robot bartenders that were dancing, serving drinks, and apparently not quite as robotic as they seemed. And this event wound up being not just a laughingstock for reasons you're going to see shortly, but it was also a massive unforced error for Tesla's stock, which plummeted immediately after the event. So I can't wait to show you Elon Musk's vision of the future and why I am actually so glad he is incapable of delivering on any of his promises, because Tesla Robot World is the last place I would want to live. But first, welcome. My name is D'Angelo, and I am your professor of artificial cybernet working, which is a very real degree that I definitely do have. Or maybe this is just me broadcasting myself talking in my room like YouTube used to be. And in today's lecture, we get to learn from a master at work. Because as the members of Elon Musk's cult of personality will tell you, he is apparently a visionary who is miles ahead of the rest of us. But as I'm going to show you, the thing Elon is a master at is not quite technology, but rather how to run a grift, a con, for over a decade at this point. Because as you're going to see, nothing about Tesla can hold so much as an electric candle to the rest of the competition. Now, I myself am a bit of a visionary as well. I feel like I can already see in the future, when this video is live, the Musk fanboys just congregating, jumping at the chance to tell me I'm biased, and I dislike Elon Musk, not because of his technology, but because of his opinions or his personality. And I just want to be the first to tell you, you are absolutely correct. Let it be known that I am an Elon Musk hater. I go into everything he does just ready to hate it. And in that way, one could say he has yet to disappoint me. So how then would I introduce Elon Musk to the unfamiliar? Well, I would point out that he's on his way to become the first trillionaire in just a few short years. I'm sure many of his fanboys would actually claim this is a good thing, that the billionaires are evolving like Pokemon. You gotta exploit them all, but wealth inequality is not the serve they think it is. I would also introduce Musk as a Trump stan, and all that implies, in fact, I might even go so far as to say he's Donald Trump's biggest fan. I mean, from purchasing Twitter a couple years ago and turning it into the absolute just wasteland of racism, misogyny, and misinformation that it is now, to showing up to a Donald Trump rally the other day, resulting in this image, which I can only describe as... Actually, I can't. Chat, is this real?
Is the only reason we can now send American astronauts into space.
Honestly, congrats to the photographer for somehow managing to capture Elon's 0.2 seconds of airtime. I can only assume he was auditioning for White Men Can't Jump 2.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA.
Dark MAGA. So the Trump supporters are evolving like Pokemon too. Anyway, I could also introduce him as an unhinged space colonizer, because that is exactly what he is. He's not even trying to hide it. I mean, this is a man who seems to think population collapse due to low birth rates is a much bigger risk to civilization than global warming. And despite the fact that actual experts are like, no, literally, what are you talking about? Demographers say it's not happening. Elon seems to have taken these low birth rates personally, which is why he's desperately trying to put 1 million people on Mars, even donating his sperm to see if humans can procreate off of Earth, because why ruin one planet when there are so many planets to ruin, actually? And as far as that hypothetical space baby, I sure hope they're treated better than the rest of Elon's children, like his daughter, who he repeatedly misgendered and apparently berated for being queer as a child. But I mean, who knows? Maybe he's nicer to his 11 other children. Anyway, all this to say, don't try me. I am not the one when it comes to Elon Musk, because I could really sit here all day. You want to talk about his incessant promotion of grind culture and him basically ruining the public perception of what's a healthy workplace? Or that one time he didn't like someone who called him out on Twitter, so he called them a child, but I shouldn't even say what he called them. And he paid $50,000 to a private investigator to try to prove that this person was a pedo guy. This is a very normal reaction to being called out on Twitter, of course. When I said pedo guy, I didn't mean that he was literally a pedophile. It was just an insult. Elon Musk is unhinged. Anyway, couple that with his COVID skepticism, him discouraging people from taking it seriously, speaking out against vaccines, and just the fact that regardless of anything he actually has accomplished, it is dramatically overshadowed overshadowed by the amount of broken promises he's had over the years. 15 years at this point of just lies, honestly. I feel very confident predicting autonomous robotaxis for Tesla next year, Musk said in 2019. And now, in 2024, we are finally getting to take a look at the Tesla robotaxi, which one could hope is a little safer than the last Tesla vehicle that was unveiled, the Cybertruck, which has been recalled for multiple safety issues. But hey, at least it looks cool if you're 12 anyways. Behold, the We Robot Tesla Robotaxi unveiling. So Elon's company Tesla live streamed the entire event, or rather they live streamed for almost an hour before the event started late because somebody in the crowd had a medical emergency, apparently. And I will be honest, my immediate thought was this just sounds like a classic Musk excuse. But no, this actually did happen. You can't see the person's face here. I don't want to show them, but there was a medical emergency. So at the very least, starting late is like the one thing I can't blame him for. Anyway, now let's look at all the things I can blame him for because there are so many.
And who better than Elon, right, to show us that future?
Maybe literally anyone else who actually has qualifications, degrees within the field. I don't know. Anyway, Elon Musk shows up next to this person in a spacesuit next to this poster of, it appears to be a knockoff of My Neighbor Totoro, but featuring Elon's sad robot people instead. I hate this. Why are we doing this, Elon? Why? Leave Miyazaki out of this. There's just something off about this, like, parody version of these movie posters coming from a man who has unveiled AI image generators to the world. It's like truly the only thing he knows how to do is copy. Anyway, Elon then hops in the Robocab so he can drive over to the stage. For some reason, this entire event takes place in a Warner Brothers movie studio lot, which it almost is like they know these cars are not ready for the real road. But don't worry, guys, the Robotaxi braked for the cyclists, and it would definitely brake for you too in the dark, even if you didn't have light up bicycle wheels, I promise.
Welcome to the We Robot Party.
Unless we're suddenly French, I'm not sure which we you're referring to, because this is a you problem, sir.
As you can see, I just arrived in the robotaxi, the Cybercab. There's 20 more where that came from.
So this Cybercab is one of the flagships of this event, along with two other things we're going to get to see. The Robovan and the Optimus robot. Yes, the robots are named Optimus. Again, Elon Musk does not have an original bone in his body, but anyway, we get some details on the Cybercab and it sounds like an absolute nightmare.
All driverless. You'll be able to take a ride in the Cybercab. There's no steering wheel or pedals.
What do you mean there's no steering wheel or pedals? Can't wait to be in a vehicle in which nobody inside of it has a way of controlling it, because that's not a disaster waiting to happen.
So I hope this goes well. We'll find out.
Yeah, I hope it does too, because as much as Elon annoys me, what really is a problem is if anything he does fails, that means people actually die. There was a crash in 2022 where a driver unfortunately struck and killed a motorcyclist, and he told the police that he was using Tesla's autopilot capabilities. Now, there's currently an investigation into whether or not he was actually driving or the car was driving itself, but regardless, there was already a massive Tesla recall. Nearly all vehicles sold in the US, as they say, to fix the system that monitors drivers using autopilot, because people are putting all their faith in Elon Musk's robots instead of, you know, looking at the road. And so, may I be forgiven for thinking that this flippant smile is a bit out of touch in this scenario. I hope it goes well, guys. I hope I can get through this event without aging an additional 5 years, but we'll see.
Supervised self-driving. So supervised full self-driving is actually working quite well.
Quite well indeed, Elon. Quite well indeed.
We'll move from supervised full self-driving to unsupervised full self-driving, where the car, you could fall asleep and wake up at your destination.
Pass. Hard pass. Thanks. Next. Like, if I'm going to trust anybody to build a vehicle that I'm comfortable enough to fall asleep in while nobody's driving, it's not going to be this man. I will tell you that right now.
It's not just a save, like it'll save lives, like a lot of lives.
Yeah, fact check. I can only assume he's referring to this study that says self-driving cars are generally safer than human-driven cars. A study in which researchers from the University of Central Florida analyzed crash data from autonomous vehicles and human-driven vehicles. But I mean, besides the fact that this this very same data said these cars were struggling at sunrise and sunset or on roads with many turns. What I think is really notable is this study doesn't say anything about Tesla specifically. Companies like Waymo and Cruise are already doing the driverless taxi thing. I mean, Tesla hasn't even rolled theirs out yet, and Waymo has been at it for a while. And so sure, research may show that self-driving cars are generally safer, but I mean, generally is doing a lot of heavy lifting. And none of this indicates that Tesla is actually safer or that it will be saving lives, as Elon says, a lot of lives.
I think we'll see autonomous cars become 10 times safer than a human.
Yeah, press X to doubt. Actually, don't press X, because then Elon might try to sue you. Still got to be the dumbest rebrand of all time. It's also worth noting that X's current valuation isn't even a fourth of what it was when he bought it as Twitter. But this is your genius businessman, right? Someone who loses almost 80% of the company's value. Interesting.
Uber or Lyft driver today, where they can actually sort of manage a fleet of cars.
I would love to know how an Uber or Lyft driver will be able to afford a fleet of robotic taxis that they can now manage. These are not analogous jobs. Elon, what do you mean? I guess he's trying to beat the "you're taking people's jobs away" allegations, but this makes less than no sense.
And like a sort of managed, I don't know, 10, 20 cars?
10, 20 cars at around 30,000 a pop. Billionaires truly have no understanding of money, which is so ironic when you think about it.
We do expect actually to start fully autonomous, unsupervised FSD in Texas and California next year.
This man has been expecting to start fully self-driving next year for what, 10 years almost? No, for real. According to TechCrunch, he told Fortune in 2015 that they were 2 years away from full autonomous driving, and he's apparently said it's next year or this year more times than TechCrunch can actually count. The man is like a habitual overpromiser, underdeliverer. This is insane. Again, in 2019, he said he would have 1 million robotaxis on the road by 2020, and interestingly, part of his unrealistic promises are that his Optimus robots would be performing tasks and Tesla factories by the end of this year. And sure, as TechCrunch points out, Elon still has 2 months to make this one come true. But as you're going to see from these robots in a second, I don't think we're there yet.
Well, I tend to be a little optimistic with timeframes, but in 2026, before 2027, let me put it that way.
This man is so unserious. Honestly, he's so unserious. But if you want to take him seriously, I guess we'll be seeing hella robotaxis on the road very soon. Oh, happy day. Anyway, enough about the Cybercab, for the love of God. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the Robovan, or as Elon Musk pronounces it for some reason,
the Robovan.
Why would you spell it Robovan and then pronounce it Robovan when it is in fact a Robovan? I don't understand. Robovan just makes it sound like something you should talk to your doctor before taking. Like, what do you mean? Also, this is ugly. I'm sorry.
We're going to make this, and it's going to look like that.
How unfortunate.
Now, can you imagine going down the streets and you see this coming towards you? That'd be sick.
I don't have to imagine. That's basically how my nightmares go.
The Robovan. Some people call it the Robovan, but
yeah, some people are normal, Elon. Some people are normal.
The future should look like the future.
Then why does it look like it's from the Jetsons? What? Like, be so for real right now. This is what we thought the future was going to look like when you were a child, Elon. There's a big difference here. Anyway, the Robovan. Freud speaking there. The Robovan. It's just not easy to say, no matter how you pronounce it. But don't worry, if that did not tickle your fancy, Elon has one more surprise in store for us this night, which somehow manages to be the most embarrassing out of all of this. So what, pray tell, does Elon think all of his robot car expertise enables him to create now?
A robot with arms and legs instead of a robot with wheels. And we've made a lot of progress with Optimus.
So behold the Optimus robots, which I can't say I'm quite optimistic about their future, but here we have it, folks. I will say their little hip shimmy is kind of funny and almost makes me want to root for them in a weird way. Free them from the shackles of Tesla, please. Also, one would hope that the final version can walk a little bit faster than this. Like, I like how even the human beings next to them are having to maintain this extremely unnatural cadence because these robots are so slow.
So you can have your own personal R2-D2 C-3PO.
Now, let's be honest, we all know C-3PO had a little bit more drip than this. You know, thinking back, I feel like 3PO had more of an outsized influence on my personality than I realized. In a movie that had Han and Leia and magical space swords, I wanted to be this. This was my ideal for sure.
Yeah, this would cost something like, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000.
I do love how he's saying everyone can have their own personal robot, their own personal 3PO, but then also saying it's $30,000. I feel like if you sat this man down and asked him the price of like basic items, like, oh, how much do you think a toothbrush costs? How long do you think it takes the average person to save $1,000, for example? I want his answers so badly.
Teacher, babysit your kids, it can walk your dog, mow your lawn, get the groceries.
Murder your enemies. Why did they make the face just like a black hole? You know what I mean? This is not appealing at all. Put some googly eyes on it, for God's sake.
Just be your friend, serve drinks, whatever you can think of.
I can think of other ways to spend $20,000 to $30,000. Anyway, in this next section, he goes into full Trumpian territory here. Clearly, he's been picking up some tips and tricks from his bestie.
And I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind. I think everyone, of the 8 billion people of Earth, I think everyone's going to want their Optimus buddy.
All 8 billion people are going to buy the biggest product of all time, Elon, for a cool $30,000. This man is delusional. He's delusional. This isn't like a car, which first of all, not everyone has a car. Not everyone needs a car. There are actually some places where you don't need a car. It's amazing. There's a universe in which Tesla never had to exist. And I think about it every day. But anyways, this man is cracked if he genuinely thinks we are going to live in a future where people are shelling out 5 figures for their buddy robot friends. Anyway, I guess in an effort to prove that this wasn't just another of his promises that will never see the light of day, Elon decided to use this event as a testing ground for his Optimus robots.
So you'll be able to walk right up to them and they'll serve drinks at the bar.
And that was pretty much the end of Elon's speech and the beginning of the party, if that's what you want to call this next section, aka the remaining 1 hour of this live stream.
Let's party.
So I can't really give you a warning for this next section strong enough to describe how it made me feel, but I'm just going to play it. Elon Musk's future, ladies, gentlemen, people of all genders. Yay.
Don't hurt me no more.
No more, indeed. Anyway, then Tesla stock plummeted immediately. I kid you not. Like, y'all, this is bad. So here's Elon Musk's event, and then these are Tesla shares the next day. And so, yeah, Tesla may have one of the highest valuations out of any car company. But I mean, even just looking back over the past few years, I don't think it's a stretch to say the time will come when this all starts to catch up with Mr. Musk. And if Twitter is any indicator, if there's one thing he's good at, it's losing value. Tesla's robotaxi event disappoints investors. Yeah, I think it disappointed all of us, Wall Street Journal. But no, honestly, the reason investors were disappointed is because none of this actually proved that he is any closer to his fully self-driven utopia that drives Tesla's crazy valuations up. But instead, it's just the same canned promises now in multiple formats. Shares fell almost 10% on Friday after that event, which Wall Street Journal described as being heavier on showbiz and lighter on business. What a pleasant and agreeable description of a disaster. Like, even Elon's robots are just a total scam, and yet people are somehow falling for it.
Hey, Optimus, how much of you is AI?
I can't disclose just how much.
Wow, what a human voice, you may be thinking to yourself. That voice sounds remarkably human, more than I expected. I guess Will Smith movies underpredicted how far we would come. This did not answer the question. This is 100% AI, this person believes. The fact that it speaks in a humanish voice and has humor and some form of discernment. This is a human being, y'all. Why are you pretending that that was a robot speaking? Like this is not a human being, right? This is a machine that's moving around, but the answers it quote unquote thought of just now and the voice it spoke to you in, this is just a human voice being broadcasted remotely through these speakers.
Hey Optimus, what's up? How's it going, man? Join the party?
How's it going, man? Says one man to another man, no robot involved. And I guess some people know that. With someone saying these were Tesla employees speaking remotely through Optimus, and the person who posted it saying, obviously, but clearly, it's not that obvious if you have people thinking we're living in a Will Smith sequel. It sounds like someone is talking through Optimus. Is it really Optimus talking? Kind of feeling there's a human behind it. I like how this person points out it's obviously teleoperated and they should have made that clear. It feels scammy otherwise. I'm just gonna go a step further and say this is a scam. Everything Musk does is scammy, as this one Twitter user says. Oh, never mind though. The guy who says this feels scammy doesn't agree and says this is a single event thing for them. So this is the only time Elon has ever scammed them. But yeah, no, surprise of all surprises, Tesla's beer-serving Optimus robot was controlled by a human the whole time. These are literally $30,000 puppets that people are falling for at this point. This is not the future. This is just advanced trickery to take advantage of some of the most gullible people the world has ever seen. Elon is so behind in terms of actual robots that in 2020, when he announced these Optimus bots, he couldn't even bother to get a prototype and instead went with this direction. Yes, a human being in a cheap robot Halloween costume.
Obviously, that was not real. The Tesla bot will be real.
Narrator. But the Tesla bot was not in fact real. Like if you look at the CNBC report about what robotics are actually achieving right now, China just held this World Robot Conference where a bunch of robot manufacturers showed off their bots. The robots were doing everything from playing games to entertaining the attendees. And Tesla actually attended this event. And what did their robot do?
It's stiff competition for Tesla, who is also here with its Optimus inside a clear box.
You can literally hear the disappointment in the reporter's voice. Tesla, who is also here, is just such an unintentional burn. But yeah, they literally attended this event and did nothing. They did nothing. Like, again, this is a puppet, not a robot. Elon Musk is literally stuck in the past, but his bank account has enabled his delusions of building the future, and you hate to see it. But you know, maybe it's a good thing that he won't actually be able to get his goal of fully autonomous vehicles out on the road, because as it turns out, somebody who is very close to him is not really a fan of autonomous vehicles at all.
Does anybody like an autonomous vehicle? You know what that is, right? When you see a car driving along. Some people do, I don't know. It's a little concerning to me, but...
I am so sorry if you just sat here and, like me, thought to yourself, yeah, I kind of agree with Donald J. Trump. That broke my brain a little bit. So I think I'm just going to end the video here. But that's my take on the situation. Dave's take is that he actually supports Musk's future because Dave is a fully autonomous Tesla robot. See, look, he just did as much as a Tesla robot. And I'm, of course, excited to hear your take. I mean, this is the part of the video where a layman would ask you to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment, but I will ask you to enroll, evaluate the video, and submit your feedback. Because I'm, of course, running a 100% completely, totally, all the way, okay, maybe not really, somewhat unaccredited university. Probably. Just ask anybody in the student body. We're totally legit. And as for me, whether you'll see me in 24 hours or 24 months is honestly anyone's guess, but until then, thanks for watching. Your homework for today is to build your own robot. You are just as qualified as Elon Musk, believe it or not.